I've underestimated a lot of things in my life. The physical toll of eating 12 donuts in one sitting. The potential humiliation of trying out for public theater when you know full well you can't sing. And most recently, the ease at which I thought I could review a small little book containing 10 games. Now, full disclaimer, with Dice and Ink Volume 1 from Inkwell Games, I have not played every single one of the games in this book. Honestly, I could do a single review for every single game in here because they're all pretty much that robust. But I needed to approach this differently than I do in my normal reviews, and rather than look at it as 10 individual artifacts, this needs to be reviewed for what it is, because the games can be purchased individually, and I'm certain there are reviews for each individual one. But Dice and Ink Volume 1 takes the roll and write genre, takes that mechanism that we know and love, and really sees what it can do. And it is vast and robust, and it's all contained in one little book. Dice and Ink is immediately an eye-catching artifact. It looks and feels like a high-quality book because that's exactly what it is. Serrated pages make it easy to tear out individual sheets, vibrant colors, and high-quality paper. This feels good. It feels right. Flipping through the pages, you know that you're in for a unique and vibrant experience because it's full of stuff. Pages upon pages of game sheets and rules that are so vastly different from each other that you don't really know what all you're getting into until you pick a game and dive right in. Each of the 10 games in this book is a completely different experience from each other. Tonally speaking, it was almost like getting whiplash. The games are vastly different from each other, and that's not a bad thing in the least. It's just that at one minute you're playing a storytelling picture drawing game, and the next you're playing the equivalent of a 4X roll and write. And so, tonally speaking, you are getting a ton in this package. And that's awesome. Now, diving into any game can be difficult at times, especially in the hobby at large. If you have no expectations or knowledge of a game ahead of time, sussing through a rulebook can be difficult. At least I know for me, if I'm interested in a game, I will watch reviews, I'll read the rulebook, I'll try to suss it out before I even have a physical copy in front of me. This is 10 physical copies of games that I had never even heard of up until the point of me holding them. And so diving into the rulebook proved to be difficult at times. While the games that I ended up playing, I was able to suss out the rules. There were times when, and this could be due to the fact that real estate was thin in this book, it was difficult to understand the examples that were given. It was almost always surmountable once I got playing a game. And it was hard for me to figure out if that was because my expectations for these games were perhaps lower than what they were. A lot of these games are complex, more complex than I would expect from a roll and write. And that's simultaneously what's so cool about this book, is that it tests the limits of what the roll and write genre is. It says basically, here is a rule set, here is a sheet, you provide the dice, and they let the game designers run with it. And they've given you really unique things that sometimes are a little bit more difficult to explain within a limited amount of space. Any one of these games could be put in its own individual box and sold in stores. And you're given 10. And the real estate to explain those rules is difficult. And don't get me wrong, what the team has done here is very impressive. And they are. Out of the chunk that I played, they are some really solid games. In particular, Lost at Sea, Scrapyard Robots, and Dust in the Void are all really impressive offerings, showing a deep understanding of the roll and write mechanism and how it can be bent to a number of genres and themes. Now, in terms of games itself, because the book is so small, you only get about 10 sheets for each game, which could be fine, maybe not. If you have access to a photocopier or a black and white copier even would work, sure, you'll be fine. If you have a laminator, great, you can play over and over again. But if someone's buying this book and they're not playing with that type of foresight, the type of foresight that those of us in the hobby tend to have, yeah, you could run out of pages and then you're sort of stuck. It's easy to remedy, and it's part and parcel to what this is as a product. But it's one of those things that really got me thinking. Like, it's a unique product. The idea that you have this disposable book that you can rip out and play really rich experiences from that type of book is really cool. Now, what if you had like a mass market Sudoku type thing with thin black and white pages, the type of thing that you would pick up at the Dollar Tree? But what if you had hundreds of pages of the same sort of thing in a, with a 4X roll and write game? Now, I obviously that's not where they're going with this. It's not the intent. But a product like this is something that gets you thinking of like, what could the possibility be? And that's what's so cool about Dice and Ink. It's not necessarily like what this isn't, it's what it represents in the hobby as a whole. This isn't boxed up with little pencils. This isn't 100 sheets of a single game. This is 10 extremely unique games, unique from each other games, in its own little tome. And that in itself is super cool. My experience thus far, if I had to sum it up, would be impressed. Dice and Ink Volume 1 is impressive. Does that mean that I love every single game in here? No. But I don't have to. There's 10 of them. And there's a good chance there's something in here that you will find to enjoy. And if not enjoy, at least be impressed by. Because it's a testament not only to game design as a whole, because you've got 10 unique designers with their own little take on everything. But it's exciting to see something so different come out of the hobby. And that's what I'm excited to see, why I'm excited to see more come from Inkwell Games. And this is Dice and Ink Volume 1. I am really fingers crossed for Dice and Ink Volume 2.